Hello, very good evening. Welcome to this evening bulletin, live and direct from our studios. This is MBN TV and it's Mega News at 6. The headlines.
Ghana to hold referendum on proposed constitutional amendments in 2027, Mahama. In business, Mahama reveals BOG's plans to refresh Ghana's cedi. And on the international front, Russia and Ukraine trade more deadly strikes.
There's many other stories coming up. In the next 30 minutes of your time, we'll bring you business, sports, entertainment, as well as going internationally. The news is also live across our social media handle. My name is El Samuels. We'll be back with the details of the stories. In our first story, the President John Dramani Mahama has reiterated his position to run the nation to make sure we are able, says Ghana will hold a referendum in 2027 on a proposed amendment to the 1992 Constitution. The referendum is expected to be held alongside the 2027 District Assembly election, giving Ghanaians the opportunity to decide on key proposed change to the country's constitutional framework.
President John Dramani Mahama says Ghanaians will go to the polls in 2027 to vote on proposed amendments to the 1992 Constitution. The referendum is expected to take place alongside the 2027 District Assembly elections. The proposed constitutional reforms include changes relating to the length of presidential and parliamentary terms, the election of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, the age qualification for presidential candidates, and other aspects of Ghana's governance system. Some of the proposed amendments will require approval through a referendum because they affect provisions classified as entrenched clauses of the Constitution. President Mahama says the process is intended to give Ghanaians the opportunity to determine the future direction of the country's constitutional and democratic system. The proposed reforms are expected to generate significant public debate ahead of the referendum, with citizens, political parties, civil society organizations, and constitutional experts expected to scrutinize the implications of each amendment. Ghanaians will therefore be required not to only participate in the referendum, but also to understand the specific constitutional changes being proposed before casting their votes.
Also staying with the President, John Dramani Mahama says government is adopting a new strategy to prevent illegal miners from returning to the forest reserves that have been cleared and reclaimed. The plan involves keeping military detachment in affected reserves after illegal mining operations have been removed.
President John Dramani Mahama says government will adopt a new strategy to prevent illegal miners from returning to forest reserves that have been reclaimed following anti-Galamsey operations. The president says under the new approach, military personnel will remain in the affected forest reserves after illegal miners have been removed. According to President Mahama, the continued presence of the military will help secure reclaimed areas and prevent illegal miners from returning to destroy the forest. He acknowledged that keeping soldiers in the reserves will come with additional costs, including feeding personnel and providing the logistics required for sustained operations.
NIMOS is working very hard. We've seized excavators, we've seized chamfan machines, and you drive them out of this area, they run to this other area. But we're making progress. Of the almost 49 forest reserves that were invaded, we've been able to clear as many of them as possible of illegal miners. Before, what we did was when we clear, we hand over to the Forestry Services Commission. But they don't fear the Forest Service. They go and drive the forest guards out and they go back into the mine. And so now we put a military detachment. After we clear the forest reserve, we leave a military detachment there. And that means we have to spend more money One, you must feed the soldiers, you must provide them with the logistics to continue to stay there in the forest. But we will not give up, we'll continue the fight against illegal mining. But Upper East has a good potential, and mining can create jobs, but we need to make sure that these are formalized mines so that they can employ our young people to operate. A few years ago, Cardinal Mine opened in this area, and you should already see the number of people who are working in that particular mine. In Upper West, they have the Black Volta mine development coming up. There are several other areas that we can see the potential for proper mining so that it can produce more jobs for our young people. But our target is to formalize the mining activity so that we have a greater control over it than the current scattered illegal mining that takes place. The advantage with the Upper East region is most of the places where the gold is found in rock.
Now, moving away from the presidency, we go straight to the educational sector, where the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has directed senior officials of public universities to resume work amidst the ongoing strike by the Ghana Association of University Administrators.
The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has directed senior university officials to resume work as the strike by the Ghana Association of University Administrators, GAWA, continues. The directive comes amid concerns over disruptions to administrative activities within public universities following the industrial action. GTEC says the affected senior officials are expected to report to work and continue the essential administrative functions of their respective institutions. The development follows ongoing disagreements between GAWA and the relevant authorities over issues surrounding the conditions of service and other concerns raised by the university administrators. The directive is expected to add pressure to efforts to resolve the dispute and restore normal administrative operations across the affected universities. Students, staff, and other stakeholders are now watching for further engagement between GTEC, university authorities, and GAWA to find a lasting resolution to the impasse.
Moving on, the former Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame has criticized the decision to hear the case involving the former National Service Authority Director General and also Mustafa Yusuf Ahmed during the court's legal vacation, arguing that there is no emergency warranting the hearing.
Former Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame has questioned the decision to hear the case involving former National Service Authority Director General Mustafa Yusuf Abdul Ahmed during the legal vacation. Mr. Dame argues that the matter does not present any emergency requiring the court to sit during the vacation. His comments come as legal proceedings involving the former NSA Director General continue before the court. The case has attracted public attention amid broader discussions over accountability and the handling of alleged financial irregularities involving public officials. Godfred Dame says the decision to schedule the matter during the legal vacation raises questions about the basis for treating the case as urgent. The court is expected to determine the next steps in the proceedings as the parties continue with their respective legal processes.
And so, with the legal matters, private legal practitioner and political activist Oliver Bemawo has described Ghana as a largely ungoverned, arguing that powerful interests have captured a part of the state and weakening effective governance.
Private legal practitioner and political activist Oliver Bemawo has criticized the state of governance in Ghana, describing the country as largely ungoverned. In a social media commentary, Mr. Bemawo argued that what exists in parts of the country are competing thefts and fiefdoms that he says operate under the influence of power interests and corruption. He suggested that one of the biggest obstacles to building a functioning Ghanaian state is the capture of public institutions and systems by influential interests. His comments raised broader questions about the effectiveness of state institutions, accountability, corruption, and the ability of governments to enforce laws and deliver public services consistently. The remarks are likely to reignite debate over whether Ghana's governance challenges are primarily a problem of political leadership, weak institutions, corruption, or a combination of all three. Mr. Bemawo's assessment comes amid continuing public discussions about institutional accountability and the need for stronger systems of governance in Ghana.
From the legal matters, we settle on some political story when a new patriotic party flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says the party's regional executive elections are now over and has called on members to unite and focus on winning the 2028 general elections.
New Patriotic Party flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has called for unity within the party as it begins preparation towards the 2028 general elections. Dr. Bawumia says the regional contests are now over and the party's attention must shift to building unity, renewing its energy, and working towards victory in 2028. The call comes as the NPP continues its internal reorganization following the party's defeat in the 2024 general elections. Dr. Bawumia has previously stressed the need for early unity and hard work, arguing that the party must address its internal challenges well ahead of the next elections. He is urging newly elected regional executives and party members to put the internal contest behind them and focus on strengthening the party at the grassroots.
So there's a lot of work ahead of us, and we are going to do that work in unity. If we are united, I'm telling you, we will win 2028. That is the key ingredient for victory. It's unity. And that is what I want to really plead, that this election is over. You've had competitors. Let us come together. And I believe in what Dr. Okoboa has said, that he would do everything to bring everybody and use everybody's talents. Because if we keep our talents, at home or in the capital, it doesn't help the party. We want to use everybody's talents to get victory for the party. And I want to emphasize that, I am open to work with everybody.
And that's it for the major top stories. I was going for a break when we return business, and its update details with Na Dedegogo. Sports and entertainment also will follow right after the business story.
Let me introduce you to Farm Global Company Limited. At Farm Global, we offer you variety of groceries and provisions to choose from. Cosmetics, perfumes, bed sheets, undies, boxes, you can mention all. This is our perfume stand and we have variety of perfumes you can choose from for yourself and your loved ones. We cover Latapa, fragrance world, and quality perfumes that will last long on your body. On our cosmetic section, we have variety of lotions, creams, hair pomades that can keep you going. Let your feet do the talking and your hand do the showcasing. Your babies are not left out. We got you covered. At Farm Global, we make shopping a beautiful experience for you and your family. You can be at home, send your list and get it delivered for free. Yes, for free. We know you can pay for it, but we want to show appreciation. We bring everything to you at your doorstep. Locate Farm Global on the Nungwabuade Road, just opposite Redeemer Chemist. Call us on 0592 0999 52 or 050 384 3633. Farm Global, fast, reliable, and convenient.
Welcome back from that break. My name is Nadi Degogo. In business, President John Dramani Mahama says the Bank of Ghana is preparing to introduce measures to refresh Ghana's currency as part of efforts to strengthen the cedi and improve confidence in the country's fiscal system.
President John Dramani Mahama has disclosed plans by the Bank of Ghana to refresh Ghana's cedi. The president says the move forms part of broader efforts to strengthen the currency, maintain microeconomic stability and boost confidence in the Ghanaian economy. He indicated that the Bank of Ghana is considering measures aimed at improving the integrity and efficiency of the currency as government continues its economic recovery program. President Mahama says the government remains focused on creating the conditions necessary for a more stable cedi, lower inflation and improved purchasing power for Ghanaians. The latest development comes as authorities continue efforts to consolidate gains in the economy and restore confidence in Ghana's financial system. The Bank of Ghana is expected to provide further details on the proposed measures and what the refresh of the cedi will entail.
Still in business, President John Dramani Mahama has unveiled a new economic version and called on a $10 billion investment strategy, following what he describes as significant gains in stabilizing Ghana's economy.
President John Dramani Mahama says Ghana is entering a new economic era following progress made in stabilizing the country's economy. The president has unveiled a $10 billion economic investment strategy aimed at accelerating growth, creating jobs, and attracting both domestic and international capital. According to President Mahama, the government's immediate focus is to build on recent stabilization gains and move the economy from recovery to sustainable growth. The strategy is expected to target key sectors of the economy, including infrastructure, agriculture, industry, energy, and technology, with the broader objective of expanding economic opportunities for Ghanaians. President Mahama says the new phase of economic management will focus not only on stabilizing the economy, but also transforming Ghana's productive capacity and improving living standards. The announcement comes as government seeks to position Ghana for stronger investment, job creation, and long-term economic development. The success of the $10 billion strategy will largely depend on how effectively the investments are mobilized, managed, and translated into tangible improvements in the lives of Ghanaians.
That's all for business. Up next is sports and entertainment with Farah Ayi.
Haka would have some look fast. Papa, me again. Yes, we are late. Me quite remember who hear me. Meant me and sent my friend doctor when I'm crossing over. See what we swear.
She has malaria.
Malaria. Oh, what they say with the router? Me copy the absence here. A drone a friend router mixer. You come and ready a draw and running router. So
Gaftrap and the draw crew abaso body assay. Wabo router mixture abaso. Router natural products and one router mixture. Yeah, you could see a treat. Router tonic and the router life for a who a finish like the bunny, a finipedium. That's supporting immune system. Router de Obiasia, FDA, I did drinking crap to yet.
Thanks for staying with us. I am Farah. Now in the world of sports, Ghanaian boxer John Laye has been disqualified from the WBA featherweight title eliminator, ending his bid for a shot at the world title under controversial circumstances.
Ghanaian boxer John Laye has suffered a major setback in his quest for a world title after being disqualified in the WBA featherweight title eliminator. Laye was competing for an opportunity to move closer to a WBA world title shot, but the disqualification brought his challenge to an abrupt end. The decision has dealt a blow to the Ghanaians' hopes of securing a place at the top of the featherweight division. Laye had been building momentum in his professional career and was looking to use the eliminator as a major stepping stone on the international stage. The disqualification now leaves questions over his immediate future and his next opportunity to return to the ring. John Laye will now have to regroup as he looks to revive his world title ambitions and make another push in the highly competitive featherweight division.
Also in entertainment, the Agotime Kente Festival has once again brought communities together to celebrate Ghanaian heritage, traditional weaving and cultural identity with a renewed focus on preserving the craft for future generations.
The Agotime Kente Festival continues to serve as a reminder that preserving Ghana's cultural heritage can go hand in hand with creating opportunities for artisans, young people, and local communities. The festival provides a platform to showcase the skill and creativity of local weavers while highlighting the historical and cultural significance of Kente to Ghana's identity. Organizers say the celebration is not only about preserving tradition, but also creating opportunities for young people to learn the craft and explore its economic potential. Traditional leaders and community members have also used the occasion to emphasize the importance of protecting indigenous knowledge and passing cultural values on to future generations. For artisans, the festival provides an opportunity to promote locally produced kente and connect the traditional craft with tourism and entrepreneurship. The celebration underscores the role of culture in strengthening community identity while contributing to Ghana's creative and tourism economy. The Agotime Kente Festival is celebrating the rich cultural heritage of the Agotime people through traditional weaving, music, dance, and other cultural activities.
Now that's all for sports and entertainment with me, Farah Ayi. Up next is the foreign news with El Samuels.
mfiti asie no me ne kunu eware wo odro ene asumdue kwan so
ya ware na chi no me ne kwachu ba hotel papa bi say be sepeyo.
What? A team from so crown na maye.
Bibia wo Nyankopon sem.
Ekoba ne san me kunu antena se.
Edro botum waje wo eye EDEC SM Bitters.
Waa. Eni gia befi. We na me de yem Bible. EDEC SM Bitters. Timase mama me.
Sa wa ware mu eni je bewie wo paya.
Na ye kamfo EDEC SM Bitters.
Mrs. Wa oyem yo nyina monno me no akwa one.
Welcome back, bringing you the update from the business desk, sports and entertainment. Now we turn our attention to the foreign front. You're still watching the mega news on MBN TV live from our 10th Avenue Extension Grid Estate in Nwa Atogono. Russia and Ukraine have exchanged fresh deadly strike with attacks reported on both sides as the conflict continued despite ongoing diplomatic efforts to end the war.
Russia and Ukraine have launched fresh attacks against each other, resulting in deaths and injuries and further intensifying the conflict. The latest strikes come as both sides continue to target military and strategic infrastructure, while civilians remain exposed to the consequences of the prolonged war. Ukrainian authorities have reported casualties and damage from Russian attacks, while Moscow has also accused Ukraine of carrying out strikes on Russian territory. The escalation highlights the continuing difficulty of securing a lasting ceasefire despite international efforts to bring the two sides back to negotiations. The war, which has entered another prolonged phase, continues to cause widespread destruction and displacement, with communities on both sides facing renewed security threats. As fighting continues, international pressure remains focused on finding a diplomatic solution and preventing further escalation of the Russia-Ukraine war.
Away from Russia and Ukraine, a war, we move straight to the African continent where several prominent Zambia opposition figures have reportedly been arrested just days after the country went to the polls, raising fresh concerns about the political climate and the treatment of opposition leaders.
Several senior opposition figures in Zambia have been arrested days after the country's presidential election. The arrests have drawn attention to the political environment following the vote, with opposition supporters raising concerns over what they describe as increasing pressure on their leaders. Authorities have yet to fully explain the circumstances surrounding all the arrests, while political tensions remain high following the election. The developments come at a sensitive time as Zambia awaits the final political outcome and parties assess the results of the presidential contest. The opposition has called for due process and respect for democratic rights, while government authorities maintain that law enforcement agencies are acting within the law. The arrests are likely to intensify scrutiny of Zambia's democratic institutions and the conduct of political actors in the aftermath of the election. The situation remains closely watched as Zambia moves through the post-election period, with calls growing for calm, transparency, and respect for the rule of law.
And that brings us to the end of this evening bulletin, live and direct from our studios. But before we take leave of you, a recap of the stories making headlines.
Ghana to hold referendum on proposed constitutional amendments in 2027, Mahama. In business, Mahama reveals BOG's plans to refresh Ghana's cedi. And on the international front, Russia and Ukraine trade more deadly strikes.
Thanks for staying with us. Now remember, the business was brought to you by Nadede Gogo Sports and Entertainment with Farah Ayi. My name is El Samuels. For more news, log on to MBN 360. Make a date with us same time tomorrow. Good evening.